Hello.
And we're back.
Yes, we are for episode 10.
Yeah, big
Big
double digits.
milestone. Big
Yeah,
milestone. Let's go.
huge.
Fucking hell. Huge.
And
Absolutely.
we've worked hard. That's 2.5 months of hard work. It's a big milestone for us. We thank you all
Yeah.
for coming along. But this is,
We haven't announced
we were
them.
discussing this, yeah, before we were recording, and this is the end of the road.
We thought 10 would be a nice round number to round.
Round number, yeah.
So we hope you've enjoyed. Um
All right,
fucking
should we stop recording?
yeah. Jesus Christ. Bro, you want to know something? I literally, this is a little behind the scenes into how we record the podcast, okay? Because, once again, we are last minute Larry's and we're doing this Saturday morning for
It's
Wednesday.
topical. We're doing it to be topical. It's not because
Oh,
we're
that's
unprepared. We just want to get the
yeah.
most current stories before we post.
Of course, something happened, this
It's all
morning.
a plan. It's all part of the plan.
I literally just rolled out of bed. Kian snapped me and he was like, "Do you want to record?" I'm
And
ready.
here
And
we
I'm
are.
okay, give me a sec. I just rolled out of bed. So yeah, we hope you
That's
guys.
how we do.
Yeah, that is how we do. Bro, you know what tomorrow is? You know what tomorrow is that nobody's making noise about? It's a big day.
Sunday,
It's a big no, Kian, apart from it being, the Lord's Day, the Sabbath day,
of
it's
course.
also where we worship a different type of God. Actors.
Please. Oh, of course.
It
How
is,
could we forget?
of course, the Oscars has just completely slipped under everyone's radar.
The biggest night in Tinseltown and nobody cares. What's gone on?
What has gone wrong? Well, I blame a couple of things. Firstly, of course, I blame Miss Rona. You can't really
Miss,
do
yeah,
much about COVID, so I can understand why
she's
people think
caused a lot of trouble.
she has devious links. But the other thing is nobody gives a fuck about award shows anymore.
Yeah, it's
Well,
very true. And I
well,
think it's come too late, frankly.
what do you mean? What's come too
I
late?
mean, it's been a long time in the pipeline. I mean, as soon as it becomes self-referential, where whenever it's Oscar season or awards season, and everyone's like, "Oh, time for whatever industry it is, but in particular Hollywood to like a
Well, you
circle
say,
jerk." As soon as
yeah.
it becomes referenced in that way, then
Well, you were
everyone
saying
already is
fucking
catching on.
yeah. You like the fucking Lakeith Stanfield thing that you were saying. He's
Yeah,
self
someone had tweeted, how come the Oscars ain't making no noise? And it got like a bunch of likes. And then Lakeith Stanfield, who was nominated for an Oscar, posted it saying, "Because no one cares and it's hilarious." Which I think it says all you need to know, really.
Yeah, it's just even the actors themselves who are nominated are just like, yeah, no one cares about the Oscars. I don't know. Maybe that says something about how it's time to move on.
Yeah, I agree. Do you reckon, okay, this is interesting. Do you reckon now that the pandemic is finally, it seems like, coming to a genuine, more holistic close, not just that, oh, we're going to ease stuff. There's an end game in the works.
There's a
Do you
roadmap,
think,
essentially.
yeah, so the creative world changed a lot when it happened. And we've discussed how it exposed a lot of things about how certain things didn't work the way they were doing it. Do you
Yeah.
think now there'll be a creative flattening, sort of? Do you think it'll be one of those things that bounces back, or do you think now,
What,
as
like
things
a
are opening,
reset?
in a way, do you think it'll be something that just goes straight back to the way it was before? People will consume content in that way, or do you think fundamental changes will stay or have to be in place?
I uh, I think a lot of like the people who control Hollywood, which is like old people, I think they will want to get shit back to the way it was. as soon as possible, because I think that's very like old guard silver screen type shit. They'll be like, we
Of
want to keep
course.
releasing our movies in cinemas because that's the way we've done it for fucking ages, and
Hmm.
blah 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 blah. But even before the pandemic, we were seeing like a massive rise in fucking like Netflix original movies and shit,
Yeah.
and just like
Straight
straight
to video
yeah.
streaming.
Well, it was like, remember like when like straight to video on demand was like the worst thing that could possibly happen to your movie.
Yeah, it basically meant that
And
nobody was going to see it, and
yeah,
now it's
now low-key it's like a blessing in disguise, because not only do you get like the Netflix deal, you also don't have to reveal, like, I swear, like, because there's no actual box office figures,
exactly.
so you don't have
And
to
that's the thing now.
say
Now
your stuff
getting
out.
released in cinema is like more of a death sentence because it's like
Oh, because
100,000 at best from
what if it's like
3,000 theaters.
yeah, what if it's like a box office bomb or some shit like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I think a lot of people will want to see it go back to the way it was, but you know, I think as things progress digitally, I think there'll
Yeah.
be more and more pushback on that.
True. Because one thing I've been thinking about, not to get too self referential on here, but we've discussed also the nature of the podcast and how much of a boom it's had in the last year and how it became at the
Not our
forefront of
podcast,
this.
podcasts in general.
In general, yeah, don't get us wrong.
Yeah, we've had a
Um,
massive surge in popularity.
and with that, we'd like to present our first sponsor. No, we wish. um, no, but I've been seeing a lot of things, and I think that is the thing because we discussed it with TikTok as well. When these social medias become synonymous with a certain brand of content, in a way, I guess a certain culture is when people start to catch on. And I've been
Mm.
seeing, and we talked about it just now with Hollywood. I've been seeing a lot of stuff which I've sent to you. Some stuff people have sent to us about podcasting and the kind of world around it and how it's viewed and how people who do podcasts view themselves and view the world and stuff. Do you
Yeah.
think that's a sign, or do you think that's just a consequence of it coming into the mainstream?
Um. Firstly, to de-waffle what Kian said, he basically keeps sending me memes of people saying, "Stop making podcasts. Nobody
Yeah,
wants to hear your
stop making
podcast."
podcasts with your friend.
Yeah. Um. I don't know. It's hard to say, because the thing about podcasts, which is like quite different to any kind of other creative medium, is that podcasts are really, really easy. Like they are
It's true.
they are so easy to make, and like,
Yeah.
if any of, like, because I know a couple of people have been like, "Oh, how did you get started?" Or like, "Oh, how did you set up this, and this?" Like that must have been like a lot of like forethought. It wasn't. It
No.
is so easy to make a podcast, guys. I promise. Um, but I don't know, because the thing about podcasts is, like I said, it's easy, and the layman can't make a movie on his own. Like
Yeah.
the whole process is so long. Like even like me and Kian, we try writing TV shows. That shit's long, and it's unfeasible because we're not going to get a fucking TV show on the air or a
Yeah.
Netflix fucking deal or whatever. But you can easily make a podcast. So I think
It's
it's
definitely more accessible, and that is
yeah,
something that has been a contributing factor to its success, for sure.
yeah.
And I
But
think it's
maybe
also people appreciate the raw nature of it, which is definitely something we discussed. It's this kind of, in a time when all these things were going on in the world, people appreciated something that felt more natural. Because the fact
mm,
is, even when podcasts, when people like discuss topics that they're going to talk about before, it's just the natural flow of conversation, which I think people appreciate.
yeah. But I think it's currently being seen as the lowest art form. if that makes sense. There's because I think in creative aspects, I think there's a hierarchy of like
Yeah,
art forms. I think, at the top you'll have like, you know, um movies, like top Hollywood movies. And that's like the top of the hierarchy. Like only the
big
like
budget,
only yeah,
big
like
studio.
yeah, only the like top, only the top elite can make those. And then that, anything other than that is kind of like a cheap imitation of that. So
Yeah, and then it
YouTube,
categorizes down.
YouTube got a bunch of shit when like YouTube first came out. And I feel like we talked about this before. But yeah, YouTube and YouTubers got a lot of stick when they were like, "Oh, we're going to try and make this like a proper career," because
Yeah,
at the start that wasn't viable, and then
it
it
was.
became, yeah, but then it became viable. But then I think traditional media still view YouTubers as kind of like a novelty thing, as
I
like a
think it's a
gimmick.
perspective thing. The hierarchy has a lot to do with perspective, and I think it's very telling actually, because like you said, at the top is like these big studio stuff, and then you'll get like mid-range kind of budget films, indie films, sometimes like in association with a bigger studio. Then you get TV, but even within TV there's hierarchies. Like really it's cable, like premium cable stuff. You got your HBOs and your
Yeah,
Showtimes, and
exactly.
then
Reality
you get
TV.
cable network, reality TV, streaming services somewhere in the middle there.
And
And it's like,
I think currently podcasts are at, but even in podcasts, there's like, your big budget Joe Rogans and your Call Her Daddies and all of those.
yeah,
And
and
then
now
you've
you're
got
getting
like,
all these companies producing. You've got, Apple, or like companies setting up podcast networks, like
oh
big
yeah,
companies,
like
not
Spotify
podcasts.
originals and
Yeah,
Apple originals and fucking I saw in the news that fucking Dave Chappelle
yep.
and Talib Kweli and fucking Yasin Bey, they
Are
were gonna do
doing a
a podcast together.
what's it called? It's like Luminary
Luminary,
original.
I think.
Yeah,
And I think fucking Russell Brand is his podcast is on Luminary as
behind a
well.
paywall. These are behind a paywall though, which
Yeah,
is now we're starting to see, the way it's settling into the
yeah.
creative world, and it's interesting
Because
to see.
it's like streaming services. Like, you have your Netflix originals and your Disney Plus originals and your Hulu originals and HBO and blah 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 blah. And now you have that shit for podcasts.
Yeah,
And
it's true, and I think it's
you used to have that shit for music. Um, but that's a whole different story that any Frank Ocean fan can tell you about. But basically something happened now. Apple don't do like exclusives anymore. Um, but
oh
that used to be like a whole thing. But now music's kind of not doing that anymore. But you do have like TV originals, and now you have podcast originals.
yeah, which is strange because it's become. I mean, if anything, it's a good thing because it's become. It's there's a level of clout to it then, but also I think because like we were saying, I think a lot of it has to do with that perspective thing. Anyone can upload a video to YouTube, and
Yeah,
anyone can technically start well, not technically, anyone can start a podcast and get it uploaded to Spotify and whatnot. So I think that's
yeah.
why it's viewed as a lower, because things we don't really see things as they are, because people view those things in that hierarchy not
Oh,
because one
we
is
don't really see
creatively
things as they
bankrupt.
are. That's
Yeah,
deep, Kian.
because um
We like
because
to get
it's not like,
introspective here on the podcast.
yeah, we do. We do. It's not like uploading a video to YouTube is automatically creatively bankrupt because anyone can do it, and getting a big budget film made is automatically creatively rich because it's been made. But that's kind of because it's so hard to get one thing made and it's much easier to get the other. That's the way it kind of gets viewed, and I think it's interesting to
Mm.
see that happening now with podcasts and where it settles in the pecking order.
Yeah. No, yeah, I agree.
But yeah, no one cares about the Oscars.
Oh, fucking hell. I don't know. The other thing is, it's like we've somehow got ourselves, we as a society have kind of got ourselves into a climate where, you're you have to start out with, shitty recordings on £15 mics and Zoom, to get anywhere first. Uh, and you have to build yourself up to like the big budget, like TMG UFO set. Um, but nobody respects you or wants to listen to you until you get to that, that big budget stage.
It's true,
So it's saying,
because you
you
could,
have to garner fans while you're at your lo-fi stages, and
yeah.
then once you get to big budget. But
And it's tricky. Like I don't watch like Joe Rogan's podcast. I never have, mainly because of the time commitment. The episodes are just too long, and he
4 hours
releases too
long?
many.
Fuck off.
Yeah,
Fuck off.
I
Who's
just,
listening to 4 hours of fucking Joe Rogan?
yeah,
Clearly a
I
lot of
just
people,
couldn't.
so I'm chatting shit, but
Yeah, but there's an excellent argument, and I think that was part of what was so instrumental to his Spotify deal, which was huge. Which was, there's an excellent argument to be made.
what's his Spotify deal? How much did he
I
make?
can't actually remember now.
I'm
Should we
gonna
check?
look it up. You keep
Yeah.
saying what you know.
Um, and I think that was something that was super important to his deal, which was that there was a point where there was an excellent argument to be made that an appearance on Joe Rogan is more valuable than basically most other platforms you can go on. It was like a yield thing. It was like a percentage yield. Going on there for a few hours could do more for your career than basically a few hours of doing anything else. And I think that's
Really?
why it became such a big thing. Like if you needed your career, if you were like a struggling comic but you got on Rogan, it was like,
So does that make it
millions
what?
of
Does
people
that
would
make it
see
the
you.
most tuned in thing currently?
I think it was. I think the Spotify deal has actually decreased his numbers quite significantly, but I don't
Because
think he
if
really
but
cares.
think about that. If that was like the most tuned in to thing ever at the time, that's fucking insane.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. It was releasing 3.5 hour episodes like 3 times a week, and you'd be hard pressed to find episodes with less than like 3-4 million views.
Oh,
It's,
also, I just looked up the deal. $100 million.
yep, there you go. That's nice.
Seems to be us.
Yeah, yeah, yep. Spotify. Whoop. Hey. Um, um, but yeah, and I think, but the fact is, if he went to like elite Hollywood parties or whatever, no matter how big it would be, he'd still be like the podcast guy, I feel like.
That's the thing. That's the fucking thing. Like fucking like YouTubers will get 4 million views on a video easy. Like
Yeah,
popular YouTubers will get like a million views. Let's say popular YouTubers will get a million views on their videos easy. Like that's standard for like popular YouTubers. And I know that's like accumulative, and I know that's like
takes
that's
time
like
and blah
that
blah
takes
blah.
time,
Wow.
and like TV's different because they tune it at a certain time, blah blah blah, whatever. I mean, I could argue about Twitch, and Twitch is a completely different barrel of fish, but I
Yeah,
I won't get into that now. But YouTubers will get like a million views on a vid, easy, standard, right? But they'll go on, I don't know, like mainstream TV, and they're a fucking novelty act.
yeah,
They're a gimmick. Fucking, like, I know we chatted shit about her before, but Addison Rae has fucking tens of million followers on TikTok. She will get, you know, 3-4 million views on a video easy. She'll go on fucking Jimmy Fallon, and she's a joke. And we took the piss out of her because it's fucking corny, her going on Fallon and doing TikTok
yeah. It
dances.
is.
But the girl gets views. She gets
Yeah.
so many fucking views. And I
Do you
guarantee she gets
reckon?
so many more views than Fallon.
Yeah. Do you reckon it's? I wonder if it's because a lot of it has to do with the inner workings of the business as well. And as we damn well know, there's a great many egos at work in any industry, but I think in particular in
Mm.
Hollywood that is certainly amplified. It's this idea that if you don't do it our way, then you haven't done it the right way. Maybe you've become
Yeah,
successful, but you
no,
haven't done
yeah.
it. You
Oh,
haven't put in
100.
the hours that we have.
Yeah, 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 yeah. There is like, as much as they're like, oh, you can take any route to get here. There are
There
very
is
few.
100% a set route for those who.
Yeah, I'm trying. I'm trying to think of somebody who got famous on the internet who broke into like any kind of mainstream.
It's not easy. And whenever they
Like
try, they just get taken the complete piss out of. Which I wonder if that's
it's
just.
easier for musicians. I'm trying to think of like actors who started off on YouTube. Are there any like actors who started off on YouTube who are now like mainstream actors who are getting like
I
decent
don't think
parts?
so, And I think it does have to do with the difference in the way stuff is digested as well. Like oftentimes YouTubers who try to act or whatever, they get famous for characters. And then if they become synonymous with that character, it's hard to it's just like actors who are on a super successful TV show and never escape that role in a
Yeah,
way. It's just a more toned down version of that.
yeah. No, true. Yeah,
It's
I don't
weird.
know.
There's well, now that we're coming out the other end of the pandemic, we saw a huge shift coming in. Now we're seeing kind of the way it's settled, and we're starting to see potentially things returning to more of what we recognized before. But do
Yeah.
people care? Do you think? I know people don't care about the Oscars this year. People haven't seen films, a lot of the films that have been released, people haven't even had
Do you reckon
access
that's
to.
what it is? People just don't care about the Oscars this year because they haven't seen the films. I
That's what
really
I'm
want to see
saying.
the
Or do you
films.
think it
I
will
haven't seen.
last till next year?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I do. I do. Um,
I'm inclined to agree,
what do I? Oh, oof.
because cinemas are going to open and everyone's like, oh, they've teed up all these huge releases. There's going to be like 20 huge
Well,
movies
they've
coming out
changed the
between
rules
summer and.
now. They've changed the rules so they can now include like films on streaming services. So,
Exactly.
so, so the rules are there. So maybe people will just do that. And what are they going to do? Just change the fuck hell. Change the rules back?
Yeah, it won't work because everyone was like, oh, and all the streaming services will be pissed as well because they were like, we were the ones who came through for this industry when you
Yeah,
couldn't
exactly.
release stuff in cinemas.
And then Hollywood
And
is just
it's,
going to go.
yeah, but fuck
Okay.
off now.
Yeah.
And then Netflix will plant a second pandemic only to lead everyone back to them. Oh, it will be Disney. Actually, no, it won't be Disney. Sponsor us. We love you.
So yeah, guys, old media is going to get replaced by new media any day now. As soon as all the old people die, and we won't have to give a shit about award shows anymore. And um, podcasts is the future. I think that's what we can take from today.
Yes, jump
Um,
on board. But we will be ending the podcast this week. This is our last episode.
yeah,
Thank you.
there are
Bye.
no more episodes. But yeah, thank you for tuning in.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye bye.